Hi all. Today we're going to review solving two-step and multi-step equations that you've done this week, whether it was with me or while you're on your own distance learning at home. So let's look at the first equation we have. 3p minus 4 equals 11. So I see some multiplication right here, and obviously that's some subtraction right there. Remember, when you only see two steps, or two operations, it's going to take you 2 steps to solve. You cannot touch anything that's with that variable until you get everything else out of there. How are you going to get rid of the negative 4? What's the inverse operation of negative 4? So you're going to add 4. These 4's cancel to 0. I don't need to write the 0, and I'm left with 3p equals 15. Now I want to finish solving for p. I want to get this p by itself. When they're next to each other, that's multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So you're going to divide both sides by 3. So p equals 5. That's my answer. That's my solution. Remember, you could always check yourself really quick to see if 3 times p, which is 5, minus 4 is going to equal 11. Let's make sure our solution, our answer, which is here, works out. So what does that give me? 15. We'll use your order of operations to decide what to do first. Multiplication comes first. So 15 minus 4 is 11. So it works out. Your answer of p equals 5 checked out here. All right, the biggest thing why I put this one up here is I see subtraction, but I also see multiplication right here. Now, what kind of 12n is that? And if your sign ahead of it stays with it, that's a negative 12n. You cannot touch that till you get rid of that 31. There isn't a sign in front of the 31, so to me, it's positive. So the opposite of positive 31, if you want to do the inverse to get 31 to the other side, you subtract it. What do we got? Negative, whoops. So negative 12n equals 180. And then if you want to finish getting n by itself, next to each other, that's multiplication. The opposite is division. So divide by negative 12. Whoa, whoa. What is happening? So divide both sides by negative 12. Remember, anything divided by itself is 1. 1 times n is just n. A positive divided by a negative is a negative. And then 12 into 180. What do we got? 6. And then 12 goes into 65 times. So n is negative 15. And that is your answer, or your solution to this equation. You could check yourself to make sure. If I wanted to check myself, 31 minus 12 times negative 15, is that going to equal to 11? Well, I would do this multiplication. Negative 12 times negative 15 would be positive something. So let me check. So 180. And then if I go ahead and add this, that would give me 211. Yep. So I know that my solution of n equals 15, it checked out. I know that I'm correct. All right, let's try a couple of these fraction ones. I see division and I see addition. You can't touch anything with f until you get everything else out of there. So get rid of that plus 11. The opposite of plus 11 is minus 11. That cancels, so bring down your f divided by negative 4 equals negative 6. If I want to finish getting f by itself, since it's up and down like that, that's division. The opposite of division is multiplication. So multiply both sides by negative 4. Remember, if I put this negative 4 over 1 to have a fraction times a fraction, these cross simplify. We don't cross multiply, we cross simplify. Negative 4 goes into negative 4 once. Negative 4 goes into negative 4 once. So really, it just turns into 1 times f, which is just f. Negative times negative is positive 24. I'll let y'all check yourself because I think you know how to do it. Just take what you think f is, write the whole equation. Now, order of operations on this side, division comes first, so negative 6 plus 11. What is negative 6 plus 11? And it's 5. So my check worked out. That means my answer, my solution, is correct. All right, one last one of these two steps, and then we're going to get to the multi-step ones. So I got a fraction times a variable, and then a plus 53. So I can't touch anything with my variable until I get rid of plus 53. The opposite is minus 53. So do the inverse. Now you're left with negative 2/3 w equals 6. Now remember, this is where a little tricky. You have a fraction times a variable. You want to get that variable by itself. Whenever you have a fraction times a variable, remember what we talked about and wrote down in our notes, you want to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal, you take that fraction, you flip the numerator and denominator. Which in turn, multiplying a fraction by its reciprocal, in turn allows everything to simplify to 1. And then you're just left with 1 times w, which is w. Now some of you are probably thinking, well, where'd the negatives go? Well, that's really negative 1 times negative 1, which makes positive 1, and 1 times w is just w. Now remember, over on this side, 6 times negative 3 over 2. Put the 6 over 1. You could use your calculator for that, but I'm going to refresh. Cross simplify if you can. The 1 and the negative 3, is there anything that goes into each one of those to reduce it? There isn't. The 6 and the 2, what number divides into both of them that will reduce it? Well, 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. That helps me reduce. Now multiply my numerators. In the denominator is just 1. I don't need to put that. So my solution is w equals negative 9. All right, let's get to some harder multi-step that we did this week. Oh, whoops, forgot this kind. Let's do this last kind really quick, and then we'll get to those multi-steppers. Remember, when you have a fraction like this, you cannot touch the numerator until you get rid of the denominator. So how are you going to get rid of the denominator? You are going to, if it's in the denominator, it's division. The opposite of division is multiplication. So multiply both sides. Ooh. You want to multiply both sides by 8. So multiply both sides by 8. These 8's cross simplify to 1. 1 times this whole numerator is just the numerator. So x minus 1 equals negative 40. If you're getting x by itself, to get rid of the minus 1, you plus 1. So what does x equal? Negative 39. And you could check yourself to make sure. All right. Let's go ahead and get to the multi-step equations. Now these should be in your notes. I forgot to tell you, the ones that I did previously, I'm not sure if those were in your notes. So you could have just written it down on scrap paper in your binder. But these should be in the packet that I gave you this week. All right, so our multi-step equations. For our multi-step equations, you want to distribute if it's possible. I don't see any parentheses, so there's no distributing. And then it's combine like terms, if you see any. So let's see what I have. I have a negative 4x here. Do I have any other x's? I do, and it's negative 3x. So negative 4 minus 3 is negative 7x. So I put those together. Do I have more like terms? Looks to me like I do. I have a negative 7 plus 4. Negative 7 plus 4 is negative 3, or minus 3. So now in turn, this really just turns into a two-step equation like we were just reviewing. I can't touch anything with my x until I get everything else out of there. So the inverse of negative 3 is positive 3. And then to finish, whoops, I forgot my equal sign. To finish getting x by itself when they're next to each other, that's multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division, so I divide both sides by negative 7. Be careful when you're dividing with negatives. Positive 28 divided by negative 7 would be negative 4. Let's just refresh really quick on how to check ourselves to make sure. So negative 4 times x, which I think is negative 4, minus 7. So I'm just rewriting the original equation and substituting in my x value. Minus 3 times x, which is negative 4, plus 4. Is that going to equal 25? Well, y'all, if I were you, I would just go ahead and put this whole entire thing in the calculator to see if it equals 25. So negative 4 times negative 4 minus 7 minus 3 times negative 4 plus 4 equals 25. So I know that my answer is correct. It checked out. All right, when you got multi-step equations, the first thing to do is to check see if you can distribute. In this situation, I can. I am distributing that positive 2, so go ahead and put it in. So leave my 3k. Positive 2 times positive 5k is positive 10k. Positive 2 times negative 3 is minus 6. And then the second step we wrote down in your notes was to combine like terms. I think these look like terms. That would give me 13k minus 6 equals 7. And now you just have a basic equation that you've seen before. You can't touch anything with k until you get rid of plus 6. So 13k equals 13. Divide by 13. What does k equal? 1. So I think this is my answer, my solution. I'm going to take that and I'm going to try to plug it in. So 3 times k, which is 1, plus 2, parentheses 5 times k, which is 1, minus 3. Is that going to equal 7? Put it in your calculator. 3 times 1 plus 2, open parenthesis, which is above the 8, 5 times 1 minus 3, close parenthesis, and I get my answer. So use that calculator to check yourself to make sure your answer or your solution of k equals 1 is correct. I'm going to skip that one, and right now I'm going to skip that one too. I'm looking for a specific one. And I might not have it on here. Well, I guess I don't have the specific one I'm looking for. The one I'm looking for, and I'm just gonna write something out. I'm not saying this equation will work. I'm just gonna make something up really quick so I can show you. Say it looked like this. We're not going to fully solve this because I'm not 100% sure if it would work out, but I want you to see something. So the first thing is to distribute if you can. So you'd be able to distribute the positive 2 here to give you 10v plus 6. What would you distribute here? I see the subtraction sign, but I don't see a number there. What number is there if I don't see it? Very good, it's a -1, so I'm distributing that -1. That's the big thing you need to remember. So -1 times 2v is -2v. -1 times 6 is what? -6. Okay, so that's the real reason I wanted to show you this really quick. So when there's just a subtraction with parentheses, put that 1 there, so because you really have a -1. All right, let's go backwards to this one that has a fraction. Let's try that. All right, so distribute if you can. I see parentheses, so I can. So I got -1/3 times 9x. If you need to go to your calculator, do it. Remember, to make a fraction, alpha, y equals, number 1, -1, down to get to the denominator, 3, over to finish it, times 9 is going to equal -3 and leave the x on the end. Now -3 times the 42. Or sorry, -3, -1/3 times the 42. So alpha y equals, to get your fraction, -1, 3, go over, times 42, gives me -14. So I would put a -14 here. And then I have -5x equals -70. So we did step 1. Step 2 is to combine like terms. I have a -3x, and that would go with the -5x. -3 minus 5 is -8x. I don't have anything to go with this -14, so just leave it. So now I just have a basic 2-step equation. I can't touch my -8x till I get rid of -14. The inverse is +14. So -8x equals what? -56. And then to finish getting x by itself, divide by -8, since it's multiplication when it's next to each other. The inverse is division. So x is going to equal, a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so x equals 7. And again, this is my solution or my answer to the equation. I could go ahead and check it if I wanted to. So I think my answer is 7. -1/3, rewrite the whole equation, plug in what you think x is. 9 times x plus, oh sorry, that's a times, not a decimal, that is a times. Plus 42 minus 5 times x, which I think is 7. I want to see if that whole thing is going to equal -70. I didn't leave myself enough room there. All right, so alpha y equals -1, whoops, -1, down, 3, over, open parentheses, 9 times 7, plus 42, close parentheses, minus 5 times 7. My goal is to hope that equals -70, and it does. So I know that my answer of x equals 7, or my solution, is correct. All right, go ahead and check the rest of Google Classroom to see what you need to do. Have a great day. Email me, send me a remind message if you have any issues.